Is homosexuality the greatest sin? Can a Christian engage in homosexual acts and still be a believer?
Yeah, one of the big issues today is the issue of what is sinful in the realm of sexuality. And more particular is homosexuality. But before I even address the homosexuality, although I think my views are pretty, anybody who knows me would know my views, far more intense is heterosexuality immorality. There is so much of it in the church, it's almost been accepted. Now the big debate is, how about homosexuality? Wait. Before we go to that one, let's go back to the first one. Let's look at the amount of young people and older people who have a very dulled conscience about the area of immorality, and they can slip over into various levels of immorality and it doesn't bother them at all, and preach the gospel and just keep going as though nothing is wrong. And I don't think that if you sin, you should never lead someone to the Lord because you sin, so therefore you're disqualified. But when we sin, we need to declare war on it. And so as we go forward in the kingdom, the Lord uses us in our brokenness, but we need to be declaring war on our sin. I believe that all sexual activity outside the covenant of marriage of one man and one woman is sinful. All of it. Two young people that are going to get married next year, no, you're not married. Don't spend the next year living in immorality just because you're going to get married and enter into your marriage with a dull spirit. Take the next year of your engagement and get a fiery spirit and live under the leadership of the Holy Spirit of that area of your life. Go to your marriage and your honeymoon with a fiery spirit alive. Don't go to your dulled by a year, because I tell young people, you're not going to fake out the Holy Spirit. You can find this Bible verse and mix it with that one and this preacher over there and concoct versions of the grace of God where it's okay to dabble in immorality. Now, that's not how they say it, but that's what it comes to. And they got grace of God doctrines that cover it all, and they can do this, but not that, but they go this far, but not that far. I go, oh, that's just wrong kinds of thinking. Live under the Holy Spirit's leadership. Stay in his boundaries, not just to prove you love him. It does express your love to him, but it makes your spirit vibrant. You're living in unity with the Holy Spirit. So heterosexual immorality is what I care most about right now. So now let's talk homosexuality. I believe that all sexual activity outside of the covenant of marriage between a man and a woman the Bible calls it sinful. It doesn't, in itself, it's not the criteria that determines whether you're saved or not saved. Many on-fire believers that love God are struggling and failing in those areas. Heterosexual, homosexual. I don't look at that and say, now you're out of the kingdom because you're struggling with it. But I say, as an authentic citizen of the kingdom, son of God, bride of Christ, you need to be resisting that sin. Failing, yes, but when you fail, you call it sin. And you rise up and declare war on it. You set your heart against it. Are you out of the kingdom now because you stumbled that day? You've stumbled 10, 20 times in a row? No, you're not out of the kingdom. Are you a fake believer? No, you're not a fake believer. But it's not okay that you make peace with that sin and live in it. And when somebody makes peace with it and says, you know what? I'm going to quit resisting and give up and give in and just live in this immorality. And that's dangerous, because a week turns to a month, and a month to a year, and a year to 10. And your conscience gets dulled, and your spirit gets bored with God, and funny things happen, and you make other decisions. And so I don't think it's the sexual act itself that is the disqualifying point, but it's the accumulation of that kind of lifestyle. People end up denying the faith. I've watched them 10 years later, they dabble with a little immorality, and they don't realize that immorality gets a life of its own, and it dulls their spirit. It defiles their conscience. It opens the door to the demonic realm to touch them in subtle ways, in ways they don't know, but it is demonically. They're being hit by these flaming missiles of the evil one. They don't even know it, demonic missiles. Of course, people not doing that are being hit by demonic missiles too. I mean, Paul the Apostle said these flaming darts are hitting us all the time. But why should we give the enemy more access to us? Why should we have a defiled conscience? Why should we have a dulled spirit And we don't have to live that way. And immorality, I would say the same with drunkenness. I would say the same things with the drugs. Those things, they have an accumulated impact. And people, again, a month, a year, 10 years, 5 years, 10 years. And there's no time frame that is, well, if you go past that time, now you're out of the kingdom. That's not what I'm saying. But it creates an internal environment of deadness, spiritual deadness. Then they make serious decisions about not following the Lord later. And so I tell them, get out of that stuff. And if somebody is struggling with homosexuality, I go, call it sin and say, Lord, help me. I still have these longings. I'm in the kingdom. I'm a genuine believer. These longings are real. Heterosexuals, same thing. Pedophiles, a guy married to his wife and lusting about the other wife. All of it, all of it. I'm not picking one over the other and making one worse than the other. Categorizing it, I'm not interested in. I would rather call believers out of all of it and not try to make this a 3, this a 5, this an 8. These are the real bad ones. These are the not so bad ones. No, don't do that. The leadership of the Holy Spirit is where safety and life is. Let's call people to that.